Lake Superior at Munising, Michigan.
Esley on board, he'll be doing the same, and we'd also be more than happy to answer any questions you might have today. We'll be cruising along about 2 hours, so we should have you back to the dock about noon. You can feel free to move around on the Miss Munising. The outer decks are wet and slippery. Our first shipwreck site is only 17 minutes from here, and for viewing today, we're going to divide up into 2 groups. We'll drift each shipwreck twice, so you won't miss it. Off to our left is the island's southernmost point. You can see how close it is to the mainland. It's only a third of a mile offshore right there. Also, we can see built in 1860 to house the guests of steamships. Wood-burning steamers that ran low on wood used to pull up to the Williams Hotel. The crew and passengers would have spent the night while Williams' 10 children had the privilege of reloading the steamers with their supplies of firewood that they used to fuel their boilers.
It's 20 feet tall at its bow and stern. It's actually bow-shaped. Bow and stern are going to come to within 6 feet. The midship area is going to be down about 12. We're going to be starting at the stern, drifting towards the bow. We're going to go from back to front, side to side. Doesn't matter where you're standing. Eventually, everything will be in your viewing well. Now it's going to come in on this side over here first. There'll be a slight delay. We've got kind of calm waters today. We're not going to be scooting too fast here. So we'll come in on this side over here first. That is 6 feet below our viewing wells. Wow is right. This is an awesome sight. Rudder post right there, metal steering mechanism used to guide the ship. This thing's 135 feet long, 26 feet wide, fully intact, sitting on the bottom of Lake Superior. It's been down there over 140 years. It's going to be down there for thousands of years. And I'll explain a little bit more about that as we get farther on into our trip. Right now you're looking at a small hatch. A primitive ladder went down to the bottom of the vessel there. Halfway down the ladder you could enter the cabin area. That's the next huge opening we're going to be going over. It's about 20 by 20. You're going to be able to see large beams down there in the dark water. Cabin floor rested right on those beams. Recessed into the hull of this ship by about 4 feet. Ship went down, pressure was so great, that cabin popped, and 3 crew members were lost. You can see a piece of broken side rail laying across the cabin area, back portion of the ship. It's a 55-foot piece that was broken off by divers back in the 60s. Prior to 1980, divers would tie off right to this shipwreck on a windy day. There were 4 dive boats tied off to this shipwreck, snapped that side rail. 1980, the Elger Underwater Preserve was established to protect all shipwrecks and anything of historical value within 1 mile of the Elger County shoreline. Divers no longer tie off to the wreck, they tie off to the white mooring buoys out front and back. They no longer deface these ships or take souvenirs. Their motto today, we take only pictures, we leave only bubbles. Now as we continue to drift, the next opening we're going to go over is the aft or the rear cargo hatch, one of the loading areas for this vessel. Now local farmers that show up at the docks when these ships pulled in, they were always trying to make a few extra bucks to help feed the wife and kids. They used shovels, buckets, and wheelbarrows to load these vessels. Spent the better part of a week doing that, 4 to 5 days. Their compensation, $1 a day is what they were paid, $1 a day. You're going to be able to see some gravel-like substance on the deck of the ship. It's actually on both sides. That's remains of the salvage operation. Once we get out the East Channel, we're going to show you some bigger chunks of iron ore, a separate shipwreck, the M.M. Drake. Approaching the midship area. This is where the salvage company dropped the log boom through the deck of the ship so they could send the hard hat divers down to get the high-grade iron ore. They weren't concerned with the integrity of the ship. Their main mission, get the high-grade iron ore. Hard hat divers, guys with a great big brass helmet, leather suit, air hose running up to the surface, and hopefully his best buddy up there pumping them fresh air. Because he'd spend hours down there loading chunks of iron ore into huge buckets, and then they would hoist it up. You can see the centerboard trunk. It's built right into the hull of the ship here. There's going to be a narrow opening going right up the center. All of these ships were equipped with raisable centerboards, 40 feet long, 8 feet tall. Raise them right up into the hull of the ship, going through the shallow waters or canal systems, drop them back down in open waters. Help navigate the ship, keep it running straight. Log boom that was dropped through the deck of the ship lays right there. Next we have the front or forward cargo hatch coming into view. Another loading area for this vessel. And from this point forward it starts to get closer to us all the way up to the bow. As we continue to drift, there's going to be a couple holes in the deck of the ship. The first one is a smaller hole. It's the bilge pump hole. It is 12 inches in diameter, and from that location, they would manually pump water from the hull of the ship anytime she took on water from rough seas or heavy rainstorms. The second one is the larger one. It's the foremast hole. It is 3 feet in diameter. The mast that stood from that hole, 110 feet tall, made out of a white pine. This ship was built in Oswego, New York, back in 1860. The majority of the wood used to construct this vessel was white oak. At a total cost, $9,500. Outrageous, huh? Companionway and chain lockers, storage for anchor chains and dock lines, sleeping quarters for two. The small metal rings to the side, hawseye rings. Anchor chains came out those rings, anchors were stored right on the deck of this ship. Then you have the huge beam sticking up off the deck, that is the tow post. They would tie lines around that, run them to shore, hook to a team of horses. That team of horses or oxen would pull this ship through the canal system to get around Niagara Falls, about a 30-mile journey. Notice broken side rail on both sides here. Believed to have been done by the salvage company when they towed this ship over here. They would have wrapped huge chains and straps around the tow post to get it here. The cargo, 488 tons of high-grade iron ore, was worth $13,500 at the time the ship went down. Cargo was worth more than the vessel. Then you have the bow of the ship, metal strapping right up over the front. Stands 20 feet tall right there. You can look right straight down it. There's the tow post, the broken side rail. Lots of clicking. Pretty awesome sight, huh? I usually tell some of the youngsters before they get on board, I'm going to show them a pirate ship. What do you think? Pretty close. That's as close as you're going to get to a pirate ship right there. Pretty awesome sight. Okay, group number one.
Coming up on the point is the Grand Island East Channel Lighthouse. We'll stop right in front of here, give you a nice photo off. Also, you'll notice some private summer cottages in here. There's about 10 acres of privately held land here on this end of the island, but there's no electricity or high-speed internet, so we don't see people here, ever. Just kidding. As we get a little closer, check out the white cabin. On the end, you'll see where this guy had some problems and bad luck. 17 years ago, Lake Superior wiped out the shoreline. Due to erosion from one winter storm, this guy lost about a third of his property, had to winch his cabin back 30 feet. It almost fell into Lake Superior. When the owner found it in the spring of '97, it was kind of sticking out over the water 10 feet, so they jacked it up, winched it back, built the seawall. As we go by, look at how dark it is. The water out in front of the white cabin, where it used to be dry beach right there, it's now a 28-foot drop-off right there. We came out on our tour, the cabin was sticking out over the edge. We could take this tour boat, pull right up to the front door and touch it, and that's what we did. Well, we didn't touch it, but we did get close enough to read the little sign he had posted on the front door at the time, and the sign read, "Please keep off the grass." And that's the truth. Can't make that up. Art had a great sense of humor. And now this is the Grand Island East Channel Lighthouse, established in 1867 to assist ships navigating into the channel. It was operated until 1909 and then abandoned in 1913. It was replaced by a pair of range light towers, which are now located back in South Munising Bay, and their location most of the inner structure. That's new siding, and the top of that tower has been renovated with new copper sheet. He and his wife spent 20 years here. They raised several children at the lighthouse and lived an isolated life, so they used to keep some barn animals. They had a cow, some chickens, vegetable garden, those sorts of things. And his annual salary was $400 a year. No, I'm sorry, $400 plus benefits. It made a big difference. Anybody curious? Well, besides having a great place to live and a pristine piece of lake frontage, lightkeepers were also paid in lump sums of firewood as an incentive. So this guy received 4 full cords of firewood each year. That's like 12 face cords. Sound pretty good? Not as good as the guys digging the lakes. And we kind of have a lack of limestone here on this shoreline, so the water is a little more acidic. It doesn't support zebra mussels. But you'll see a little bit of limestone up ahead. There's a bright white patch up here, a little bit of limestone. The bears have been given campers trouble on Grand Island, which the reason they're giving campers trouble is because campers are in Fitzgerald. It's about dead ahead. It's 90 miles to the east on the Canadian side of Lake Superior. It lies in 550 feet of water, so that's too deep to see. It's too deep to scuba dive. And if you had a submarine, you still couldn't go.
first here, huge beam running right down the center of the ship. That's the top of the keelson. Keel and keelson are the backbone of every ship. First beams put down. Branching off, running perpendicular, are the ribs. They form the outer hull of this ship. You're going to see a lot of piping down there. Steam-powered vessel. It also had 3 masts for sailing, but the masts were strictly backup. You're going to see chunks of railroad rail as we go. You might wonder about that. The hull of this ship had an interior railroad system to move the cargo around. Checking out the top of the keelson. You see nail heads as we go. Some are twisted and turned, kind of bent over a little bit. Those are trunnel nails. Now those puppies are 4 feet long, 2 men to pound them in. One guy holding it firm and straight, the other guy swinging a sledgehammer. Now I don't know which job you want, but I think I'm swinging the sledgehammer. We drift a little bit farther here. You're going to see a big chunk of railroad rail laying right across the top of the keelson. A couple more feet here yet. It's coming into view right here. Then check out the 3 beams just beyond it. First beam coming into view, then the second and the third. Check out the bolts sticking up out of these beams. These bolts are over 5 feet long. Right in this area, first, second, third beam is where the 485 horsepower steam engine was mounted. Now, Captain, all 16 crew members were rescued. The Hitler and her cargo, not so fortunate. 1,100 tons of table salt dissolved right here in Lake Superior. Some people say saltwater. 80-some years ago, dissolved, diluted, but they say to this day, you catch any fish out in this area, no salt, just pepper. Okay? Now we're making our way over to the port side of the ship. It's the port side laying flat on the bottom of Lake Superior. As we approach it, you'll see it bend down right there. That's called the turn of the bilge. That piece there would have been hooked up to the piece that we just came from. You're going to notice a lot of exposed ribs here as we go. Once again, Army Corps of Engineers dynamited this ship to knock it off the reef, to separate the sides from the upper deck and the hull. Navigational hazard, bad omen to other sailors. Other sailors would see this shipwreck, go directly to their captains, demand higher wages. They had seen a shipwreck, they were in dangerous waters, they wanted more money. Captain Joe and I try that every day when we get back to the dock. It does not work. Now as we drift a little bit farther here, you're going to see a large metal wheel just beyond these next 2 rocks. That wheel was used in a pulley system to hoist cargo up onto the deck of the ship. Cabin area starts right here. You're going to see a couple portholes. These 2 portholes back here, about 12 inches in diameter, similar to that bilge pump hole on the Bermuda. Drifting forward, you see this one beam that protrudes up off the side there a little bit. That is the ship's rub rail. Now directly above the rub rail, the oval ring there is a hawseye ring. Dock lines would come out the hawseye rings. As we approach the front of the ship, you're going to notice some metal sheeting down near the bottom that help to protect her from ice flows. Then you're going to see the anchor housing. It's an oval horseshoe-shaped ring right there. Stem of the anchor would have gone right into that. It's been actually broken in a few different pieces. Then here comes the anchor itself. That anchor, 5 feet wide, 8 feet long, 2,500 pounds. Now when the ship hit the reef, the anchor swung out, came back and smashed that anchor housing and did some of the damage to the front of the ship. Anchor housing, and then there's the anchor. And now if it doesn't bother you to look down, keep watching, because we're going to go for a ride out on the rock reef. We get on the top of that rock reef, we're going to be at 8 to 10 feet of water. On our way out there, we're going to go over some pockets of iron ore. Separate shipwreck, the M.M. Drake grounded on this reef 30 years before the Hitler. Received no major damage to her hull, so basically what they had to do was anchor low. They got her final wreck off of Whitefish Point. Now we're on top of the rock reef, 8 to 10 here. Watch who 25 to 35 right there. That is what the Hitler ran into. Can you imagine steaming towards Munising Bay in a blinding blizzard, zero visibility, and running into something like that. When the headler hit the reef, the bow shot right up out of the water by 3 feet. Can you imagine what the captain had to say? Like, oh shucks, sir. There goes my pension. Well, it sat here for a couple of days. Second storm came through, broke off a stern section. A couple of our favorite artifacts are below us right now. Right now you're looking at the captain's commode down there. All right, everybody see the commode? We're gonna drift back this other way. It's kind of sitting like in a lifeboat davit there. Then we drift a little bit farther back this way. And here comes the outer ring of the captain's bathtub. 2 huge boulders sitting right in it. And keep watching, because the next thing you're going to see is a 10-foot piece of smokestack. It's a large round cylinder pipe with a hole right in the top. Everybody saw the bathtub and commode on this side though, right? Yeah. I'm going to show them over here. Commode's right there, and there's the bathtub. Now as we drift, you're going to see a 10-foot piece of smokestack come into view here. Large round cylinder pipe with a hole right in the very top. The rest of the debris is scattered up along the edge of the reef. Now if the Hettler would have been 75 yards to the east, just past that red channel marker right there, would have missed this rock reef altogether. That marks the end of the reef. It runs from there all the way over to the island. But you can see all the debris. It's a mangled mess there. A lot of it unidentifiable. Now Captain Joe is going to swing us around. He's going to give you one more look at that rock reef, show you one more time what the Hettler ran into. But keep in mind, the Hettler would have needed 18 feet to clear. This rock reef is only 8 to 10 below the surface. So when you do the math, it adds up to the final day for the Herman H. Hettler. But steaming towards Munising Bay, thinking you're seeking shelter, and then running smack dab into something like this. Bang, right there. Final day for the Herman H. Hettler. Okay, group 1, if you want to make your way back to your seats.
That's what we ran into, because
This ship. Now this ship was constructed in West Bay City. Now cargo on a vessel like this, most likely built. We're heading right back down, right? All right, that works. I think it will. Okay, we got everybody here? You guys been listening up real good? Yep. You up for a little quiz? No. It's a group quiz, all right? Anybody gets the question right, you all get it right, all right? I'm going to ask a few questions while we're drifting this time. Right now, we are over that huge beam that runs down the center of the ship, backbone of the ship. What's it called?
Keelson.
Keel and keelson, 1 for 1 already. Branching off, running perpendicular, forming the outer hull of the ship are the
Ribs.
2 for 2. When you're walking on the lower level of the ship, you're walking on the
Ceiling. Spelled with an S.
with an S. He is paying attention. Wow, those Lions are going to do something this year. Huh? Here's the tough one. This is the one most groups miss. Those large nails, 4 feet long, 2 men, 1 woman to pound them in. What are those called? Big nails. Bunny busters. Thumb smashers. Hard work. Anybody got it? I mentioned it a few times. Those are trundle nails. Trundle nails. Right now you're looking at some boards that look like 2x4s right in that center groove. Stanchion boards would have stood perpendicular holding up the upper deck of the ship. We're going over a couple planking boards on this side. Be another one up there a little bit farther on the other side. Entire lower level covered with those, sealing it, stopping any cargo from falling in between the gaps. You can see some of the trundle nails here. They're ripped out. Some will be twisted and turned down at the other end. Believed to have happened when the ice flow from Munising Bay went out in the spring. Would have ripped the top and sides of this right off. Now this one's been down over 200 years. The Bermuda, down over 140. And I told you they're going to be down there for thousands of years. Reason I can say something like that, 12 years ago, Captain Pete was diving between here and that red channel marker out there. Our last site, the Headler. The man was in about 15 feet of water when he came across 2 tree stumps still rooted to the bottom of Lake Superior. They'd been there long before lake levels ever got this high. He's a curious fellow, so he took some samples and sent them in. The carbon dates came back 7,910 years old. Wood still identifiable as white birch. So if white birch can last for 8,000 years submerged under the cold waters of Lake Superior, just think how long white oak is going to last. Captain Joe and I call that job security. That's what that's called. Not a whole lot of that left anymore these days. Right now we're over the area where there's no ribs on this side, 40-foot section. The groove in the center, hollow all the way to the bottom of Lake Superior. Raisable centerboard up and down inside that groove. Keel and keelson over 8 feet tall, ribs 16 to 18 inches thick, running 18 feet straight out on each side of this ship. And we are just about at the end of it here. And you guys missed one question. So now I got to give you a bonus question, okay? Try to get you back to even here. What lies at the bottom of Lake Superior and quivers? People looking, he's got the answer. A nervous wreck, you got it. They get it right about 3-4 times in the summer. He had it. You guys are awesome. Back to even. Nervous wreck. I tell that one on every trip. I know it's bad, but so bad it's good. There you go. So we're just about at the end of this here. There's the final set of ribs. And then the keel and keelson extend out a little bit farther yet. We've got about 20-25 minutes back to the dock. Once again, anybody has any questions at all, feel free to ask. Captain Joe and I are here to help you. Anybody thirsty, cold pop and water on board. Up front, just $1 a piece.
Nice and reserved that. Pulled around it.
I want to find out what people is on Lighthouse.
Yeah, why don't you do it, Levi?
Give us a little,
Get up, stand up front and start giving us a spiel.
give us a little spiel on it.
You just stand on the door because you're not touching the door.
That was. Right?
I thought it would have been bigger than what it was, you know.
Yeah,
right there on your right. A unique take on a hot dog there. Gourmet chef has kind of reinvented his hot dog. Also, he has pulled pork chicken. Make your reprints for only $3 a piece. It only takes them a few minutes, so stop and take a look. They do a nice job, great value. And on behalf of the tour, Esley and myself, we'd like to thank all of you for coming with us this morning. We hope you had a nice time. It actually turned out to be just about perfect for a boat ride, considering all the wind we've had. We also hope you have a nice vacation, and we hope you have a nice day. Thanks again.
But they were voted. They were voted.
They're just $7, not 17, not 27. Yeah, that's not 7.
To get to the next trip.
Watch your step, bud. There you go. Watch your step coming out. Thanks for coming with us.
Thank you.
Watch your step now. Thanks for coming with us.
Hi, welcome back to